Okay, this is probably going to be a short one because, as usual, I feel pretty terrible. Um, but let's get right into this. I'll make this as fast as possible. I'm Lembar, purveyor of fine meme builds, and I bring to you guys a question. With the seasonal buff, do you actually need any cooldown on your gear? Does any class that needs a cooldown breakpoint actually need that cooldown breakpoint? If you can have 100% uptime on an empowered shrine, why do you need any cooldown on your gear? So I've been exploring this thought over the past week, and I have come up with 2 builds, and I'm top 10 with both of those builds. So the first one is the Archon Wizard. This is what I've chosen, basically. Guardians, and instead of the Obsidian Ring, I'm using the Ring of Royal Grandeur, Convention of Elements, and then the Halo of Karini. This actually works really nice. It's been doing absolutely great, but it adds 1 layer of fishing to the build. You walk into the Rift, you pop your potion, and if you don't get the cooldown one, the build does not work. Which is not great, right? So you might say to yourself, well, why would you play this? Moving on. So the other build that I have set up is the EEP Monk. So normally, instead of the Furnace in the cube on the EP Monk, you would be running something like the cooldown reduction staff, whatever that's called, Flow of Eternity, I think. But if you can get a massive amount of cooldown reduction from having this shrine buff all the time, why would you need that, right? So I swapped it for the Furnace, and it's going really good. Another top 10 build. And I'm probably going to start looking for more builds to give them this treatment, because it feels like when I look at the leaderboards, not a lot of people are taking advantage of this very obvious gain in damage. Because cooldown has some pretty big diminishing returns on it. So once you start getting to like 60%, 70%, stacking more cooldown doesn't really do anything. But if you can jump all the way up to, 80-some% with 82% almost with this cooldown shrine, that's nuts. That right there alone gives you all the cooldown that you could ever want. It makes up for those little lapses in things like Epiphany or Vengeance for a Demon Hunter. Like, I feel like this is an underrated thing that's not being used simply because people don't like fishing. And I get it. I don't like fishing either. But I also like pushing. So if I can get away with not having that cooldown on my gear in exchange for things like damage, attack speed, elemental damage maybe, depending on what piece, like, it might be a juicy thing for any class. So, before I sign off here, I'd like to see more builds like this on the leaderboards. Like, it doesn't have to be like my setup. Copy what I've got if you want, like a nice starting spot. But I would like to see more creative builds that are using these shrine mechanics in interesting ways. What if you could drop the attack speed off your gear? What if you could drop other things off your gear? Resource cost reduction, things like that. Right? Like, what are the new breakpoints with the specs that everybody is playing if we're going to have 100% uptime on the shrine buff due to these gloves of worship? So this is going to be an interesting season, and I am looking forward to seeing the competition that I'm going to be facing here pretty soon, because I don't know how many people are aware of this, are trying this. I generally don't keep up with the goings-on in the community, but when I'm looking at the leaderboards, this is a pretty ripe opportunity that anybody who is watching could easily take advantage of. So I'm about to go to bed. I am very tired. But before I go, I'm just going to say that I'm around basically all the time. I'm not usually streaming. I'm intentionally hard to get a hold of because I'm kind of insane. But I am a good resource if you need answers to any questions about the builds that I'm posting, about any of this stuff, theory crafting, build breakpoints, things like that. I'm always around, essentially almost 24/7, even though I shouldn't be. So just shoot me a message. My handles are available somewhere. I don't remember if they're attached to the stream or on the YouTube channel, but I don't know. They're out there. If you'd like to support me, don't bother. This isn't my job or anything. I'm not a streamer. I'm just a gamer, somebody who likes to play meme builds. So maybe check out some of the other rank ones, the other dumb meme builds that I have posted on the non-season. But I am out for now. This was fun. See you guys.